Today on Outside the Box Reviews, we wrap up Predator Week with the NECA Predator Wave 11 Battle Armor Lost Predator. And this is a very unique entry into the Predator line because we've gotten a lot of different things in the Predator line so far. We've gotten movie accurate figures, we've got repaints and redos of movie accurate figures, we've gotten figures from fan film characters, we've gotten redos of what Kenner made. But this is, as far as I remember, the first step of NECA making basically their own take on a figure. This is based on the Lost Predator, or the Borg Predator, from Predator 2, but NECA put extra thought into it and expanded the character and gave him his own biomask and gave him some extra weapons that were not in that Danny Glover movie. So let's take a closer look at this guy. First up, he comes with one of the AVP style shurikens, which is pretty cool looking here. These things normally are just a solid silver, and to have the blue handle, it kind of gives it a nice contrast. There actually is some black in there with the blue, and it looks really nice. He holds it okay, not great, but he holds it well enough. And pretty cool accessory. We also get one hell of a badass sword. This thing is huge. It looks great. It has all kinds of scuffing on the black part. Nice red edge to the blade. The hilt looks very futuristic, almost lightsaber-esque. Very, very nicely done, nicely detailed. And on his back here, we have a sheath that you could just slide it into. Sticks out a little at the bottom, but looks very, very cool. And here we have Borg's really, really cool biomask. This thing is crazy looking. I could not have imagined better myself what this thing would look like. It's the shiny metallic blue with black on it. Really, I guess it's black with blue dry brushing on it. I think that's how they really achieved the effect. But it looks like the rest of his armor from the movie and just really just takes it to a whole nother level that just looks great. Has these kind of cool fins up at the top. It's very anime-esque in my mind. But he has the red visor and maybe anime meets Darth Vader even. You can see he has his dreads coming down from behind, the same soft rubber we've gotten before. Now there is one problem with this head sculpt, at least maybe just on my figure, hopefully just on my figure. But my head sits at a constant state of being detached. The armor here on the chest, meeting the dreads and the helmet, kind of keep it from popping all the way down on the ball joint easy enough. And it does tend to fall off when I pose it. I'm going to try a little hot air or hot water and try to fix that up and change it up, but it is kind of a pain in the butt. But speaking of the chest armor, we have the same chest armor we had before, which I love the look of. Very, very cool. It's got like the wires in there, has the black and blue and also some kind of rust colors and some red dots on it. This is the part that was in the movie, and you could see NECA really did a great job of extrapolating that to the rest. He has these wires up on his shoulders that come back. And then over here at the side, this part is original armor from the movie, and starting here back, it's all the unique stuff NECA added for his own very crazy looking plasma caster. All kinds of tubes and wires. He has like a little med pack back here. This section looks like a spine. Once again, very anime looking to me. Kind of reminds me of something out of Neon Genesis Evangelion or something like that. Or even kind of Pacific Rim. I know they had the spine sink area in that with Gypsy Danger and the pilots. And coming up here, even more cool detail. Now the plasma caster with this guy came as a separate piece in the package. It was not attached originally. And it made me worried that it was going to be something that was going to fall out all the time, but so far it's been really good. You can see it's folded up here, and then it will come forward on dual ball joints. There's the arm with a ball joint pegging into the shoulder part, and then a ball joint here at the top of the caster. So you really do get a great range of motion on it, and if I had more free hands, I could mess with it a little further, but really a nice plasma caster and a very unique and cool looking one. I like the design of it a lot, and it folds up very nicely. Over here on the rest of the body, you have the shoulder armor. You can see just a little bit of his skin poking through. The unique Borg wrist gauntlets that have the wires at the top, which hinder articulation a little bit. We'll get into that later. His very cool hands. Both are grasping hands, just so he could use all of his weapons. And then here we have a unique belt added on, once again mimicking the rest of his armor. Kind of has this more red dots on it, same color scheme. We can see the shuriken on his belt, an extra one. We come around, and this thing looks cool. It looks like almost like a jet engine or something on the back. Very Asian-inspired looking armor down here. Maybe that also adds to the feeling of anime vibe I'm getting on this guy. I already talked about the sheath, but you can almost see up here, the original Borg had this kind of spine-looking armor that went down just the middle of his back. And here it almost has an extra spine piece that comes up, and it doesn't attach, but they meet together, and it almost looks like there's a spine going down his armor, which I really like. Only one of the few downsides on this versus the original, the shoulder plate back here was much better painted, much more subtly detailed on the original. This is a little more brown, not as cool looking. But the rest of the armor is just as well detailed as it was. If we were to flip up this belt, you'd see the same skirt he had before. Now the original Lost Predator had two separate belts that kind of floated above that, so those are both gone, replaced with this more warrior looking belt. But he does have the same leg armor, this kind of sheathed over thing that looks like it would have held the smart disc but is missing there, and then just normal Lost Predator armor. This is his knee pads, his lower leg guards, and his bare Predator feet. The only other thing I would have liked to see added to this Predator would have been maybe the net caster on the side here, just because he is so decked out. I think one more weapon would have been really kind of cool to have. For articulation, he does have that ball joint in the head, but as I said, mine likes to fall off. So that's a pain in the butt. Pin socket shoulders forward back out to the side, not really hindered by any of this copious armor. But his elbow joint is hindered, but he does still swivel well. Ball joint at the wrist. Ball joint at the waist, but it is once again hindered by all this armor. Pin socket legs forward back out to the side. Swivel at the upper leg. Double jointed at the knee. And ball joint at the foot. And here we can see our new Lost Predator next to his original movie accurate incarnation. And while there are some minor differences in the way he's painted, it still very much looks like the same character. We don't have a situation with like the masked and unmasked Berserker where there's such a big difference between the two. And I really like this Lost Predator. I think once I get his head fully seated on there, I'm gonna love him even more. But he's a very cool figure, and I'm very happy to have picked him up, and I'm happy that NECA went outside the box, so it were, and made this figure. Not movie accurate, not really based on anything that I know of, but exceedingly cool. And, you know, I wouldn't want a ton of these, but I wouldn't mind seeing some super hyped up versions of other characters. I think it could be really interesting to see what the imaginations over at NECA can come up with on rare occasions, like I said. But very highly gonna recommend this figure. He is completely badass. And if you've been collecting along this line and you want something a little different, a little unique, this guy has it. And with all the weapons and gear mounted on him, I know NECA still doesn't seem like they really want to do it, but it still makes me very excited for them to finally get to AVP. Hopefully happening this year. It seems to keep getting pushed back and it's driving me up the wall, but this shows that they could load a lot of gear on these bodies and still make them look really cool. And what else can I say? Very cool figure. Definitely recommend you go get them. Make sure you check out Outside the Box Reviews on Facebook. There'll be a link below. Also check out Outside the Box Reviews on Instagram. Username Outside the Box Reviews. And that wraps up Predator Week number 11. And for maybe one of the first times ever ending a Predator Week, I don't know what's next. NECA's news with this line, they've teased that there's going to be some unique new figures coming out in 2014, but we don't know any specifics yet, and I guess we're gonna have to wait till Toy Fair in February before we really know what's going on, and that's kind of unique. Normally we always know at least one wave in the future, so hopefully we have some good news coming in February, but until then, the Predator Weeks, I guess, are gonna be taking a little bit of a break. But I got plenty more stuff to review, so there'll be plenty more to come here in Outside the Box Reviews. If you collect it, you can find it at allscaleseverything.com.